Well, we have finally came to the end of the season, even though we still have the reunion, so there's 2 more episodes, but as far as the process, it is officially over now that we completed our final 3 couples and their final vows. Hey you guys, welcome back to Romance Review TV with Lady T. Got another recap for you guys. Married at First Sight UK Season 7 Episode 28. And without further ado, let's finish this off. So, as you guys remember, we came off of part 1 of the final vows in episode 27. We first had Jenna and Zoe making their declarations and finishing their vows to continue to stay together. We also had a final vows with April and George as they decided to say their declarations and they decided to stay together. Now, we had one other couple that left us on a cliffhanger. That was Sophie and Jonathan. Now, Sophie had already stated her vows and she decided that she wanted to move forward with Jonathan. But we didn't know what Jonathan was going to decide. Now, I do find it interesting that, with the rest of our couples in this episode, they really left us on the edge and then we got our answers. So, and it looks like they left their significant others on the edge too. However, after Sophie said what she wanted to do, which is to go ahead and move forward with Jonathan, Jonathan put a lot on her plate. I mean, he said we had our ups and downs. We started off pretty well, but he actually said about the fact of whether or not he was, fully into her and whether he was there yet with her. And you can tell by Sophie's face, she was on pins and needles. I don't know if she was pretty much like, dude, get this over with so I can go home. Or was she like, oh my God, what is he going to say? Well, we got the answer because after all of that, of what he had to say, and I think they started out really well in the beginning, a lot of outside influences really affected this relationship. Before they got back with those other couples, they were fine. Until then, we know the past. I'm not going to rehash all of that. But he finally said that even though at this point in time, they're not where they should be per se, he wanted to continue to find out because they did build a great foundation, which is good. You got to have a foundation to build upon with the relationship. And this couple didn't start from the beginning. They came in the second half of the season, especially when you had other couples like Jenna and Zoe or maybe April and George who started off from day 1. They actually had less time. So they need more time to build upon that foundation that Jonathan has spoke of. But in the end, they both decided to stay together and move forward. Now, let's talk about our next couple because these 2 people started with 2 other people. We all know that Matt started with Gemma, and we also know that Whitney started with Duca, and those crashed and burned, especially the relationship when it came to Whitney and Duca. She was gone from the altar, and she had consistently said leave. I will say that even though she said leave, Matt coming into the experiment, and of course we all know how it did not work out with Gemma, it brought these 2 closer, especially because of the loss of her mom and the fact that his mom is going through cancer. Plus, they have other things that they connect on so many levels. It just clicked. And as we all know, the other couples such as Adrian and Thomas, who of course they're friends now, and Jenna and Zoe was not. They were very outspoken about these 2. However, the experts saw the science to it. And, of course it didn't make everybody else happy, but at the end of the day, it comes down to these 2 people. And production and the experts allowed Whitney and Matt to continue as part of this process. So it just seemed like it just clicked. It seemed so easy. The connection is there. They're very attracted to each other. And we have not seen this vulnerable side of Whitney until Matt came into the picture. So they got a chance to sit down and talk to, people, because they have a 1 week break in between the time they move out the apartment and the time that they do the final vows. Now, Whitney's best friend, was like, hey, this is moving too quick. Are you sure? Is this something that you really want to do? Because, I don't know anybody that can move this fast. And I had this conversation with someone else that I know that got into a relationship and everything is clicking. And it's when you know. And obviously whatever connection that Matt had, because he also reflected on this in regards to his relationship with Whitney, because it's a whirlwind romance. Have they experienced the highs and lows? They haven't got to the lows yet, which is something that they're going to have to see if they're going to be able to work through. Is there commitment and love that they're proclaiming to each other strong enough to get them through the lows that they come across? So it's now time for them to do their final vows. Even though they didn't have an extravagant venue, it was still very beautiful with this big, gorgeous tree, and they decorated with the flowers. Like I said, Married at First Sight UK and Australia, I got to give you your props, because beautiful honeymoons, venues, the wedding venues, absolutely gorgeous. Can't say that too much for the US version, but these are real marriages over here. However, back to the UK version, it was time for them to give their vows. Whitney had to go first. And I didn't know what she was going to say, because both of them leading up to the final vows was like, I don't know. This is maybe moving too fast. Is this going to last a long haul? How do we get through the high highs and the low lows? Well, she honestly, to see this emotional, vulnerable side when it comes to how she feel about Matt, honestly, and I know a lot of people you guys are not feeling Whitney, but honestly, it was absolutely beautiful to watch. And I just hope that they can stay strong past the experiment, and we'll find out. We will. But she decided that she wants to move forward with Matt, because look like Matt is her kryptonite. Brings her weakness to her knees, when it comes to her letting her vulnerability show. Matt's turn. He was pretty much solid. I pretty much knew that he was going to, because he's crazy about Whitney. He really likes her. The connection is so strong, and he ultimately said that he wanted to stay. His concern, of course, is, can this go the long haul? Are they going to stay the course, even though it's been so much drama surrounding outside of them? But when it came together, because they've only had a couple weeks, it has went so fast. And then all of the outside influences really throwing shade at their newfound relationship. But ultimately, it put a smile on Whitney's face, and even kind of brought a tear to her eye, because Matt was extremely romantic when he proclaimed his declaration that he wanted to continue to pursue this relationship with Whitney outside of the experiment. So I'm looking forward. Look like they are still together. I follow them both on Instagram, and you can tell how they look at each other, the energy between them. There's something there. What it is remains to be seen, but we got to stay tuned. And finally, my favorite couple this season, Shanita and Jordan. Oh my gosh, she was in tears. She did not want to see Jordan go. And, they got to get that 1 week break between trying to decide what they wanted to do. And we all remember their wedding. They were the first wedding aired this season. Absolutely beautiful. It really set the trajectory of the show. The honeymoon was beautiful. That picture I posted on my Instagram with them kissing on the boat is just absolutely gorgeous. Gorgeous couple. However, they did have one hiccup toward the end of the season, whether or not Jordan would be comfortable moving in with somebody unless he actually was in love with them. And that kind of set Shanita 2 steps back, because she don't really know whether he's in this 100% because of the commitment, and it's a lot for her to contend with. So she had a conversation with her friend Vanessa. I think they said they've been friends since she was 3, if I'm not mistaken. But that was the biggest conversation, a biggest piece of the conversation with Vanessa, and Vanessa's concerned about that too. Is he really going to commit if he's not even sure if he want to move in with her, right? And then he had a conversation with his mom, Andrea, and his biggest thing is losing himself, compromising so much that he don't remember who he was in the process. And this is my first time hearing that. He said that being in this process make him not recognize who he is. Now, that could be for the good, because of the fact that marriage changes you. You're not the same person when you're single, because you got to be cognizant of the fact that there's another person in your life. So, all right, now it's their time. The venue, oh my God, it was breathtaking, I gotta say. Where are all these places? There's gotta be a lot of places here in the U.S. They need to do this. Guys, I mean, Dr. Pepper, Pastor Cal, and the production team at Kinetic Content, take notes from Channel 4 and 9 Now, because they, anyway. So these two, it was time for Shanita to say her declaration. And, she pretty much put it out there that she misses laugh. She misses smile. She laughs so hard every time they're together. And other than that, it really wasn't issues with them, except when she brought up the whole thing about what happened in the second half of the season, which was, whether or not he's going to be committed to her, and whether or not, he can move forward based on the fact on how deeply he loves her. And of course, she's like, I'm going to find out though. So she decided that she wanted to go ahead and stay past outside the experiment and move forward with Jordan. It's Jordan's turn. And he brought up a lot of things too as well about, not being where he want to lose himself. He brought up the whole conversation that they had about him knowing whether or not he's going to be 100% committed, and whether he has commitment issues. But in the end, he said, oh no, we're moving forward. We have so much, I can't see my life without you. And they're both staying in the process. I mean, outside of the process. And I had no doubt about these two. They have been so strong the entire season. So, yeah, I am so happy for them. And we got to stay tuned to this reunion to see where everyone stands. Okay, so let's get the conversation started down in the comment section. What do you think about all 5 of our couples? We got 5 yeses at the final vows. We got to find out what happened. We already know pretty much what happened with April and George based on everything that's going on in the media. But the other 4 remaining couples, let me know what your thoughts are. Do you think that they can stick it out for the long haul? And what do you think is going to go down at this reunion? If you've seen the previews, it looked like it's really, really crazy at this reunion dinner party. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Like, comment, and subscribe. And we will see you in the next one. Bye.